Reading people is not a trick. It's not manipulation. It's awareness. It's the art of seeing what isn't being said, because most people speak with masks. They smile when they're anxious. They nod when they disagree. They joke when they're breaking inside. And if you're not trained to see the signals beneath their surface, you'll always be a step behind in life. Nietzsche didn't study psychology in the traditional sense. He studied power, authenticity, deception, and the soul's hunger for control. But hidden in his work are 18 psychological truths, brutal, brilliant, and wildly useful. And once you internalize them, you won't just hear people. You'll read them instantly. Let's begin with the first. Truth 1. The more someone tries to appear calm, the more chaos they are hiding. Nietzsche believed that inner repression creates outer performance. That is, people who haven't dealt with their darkness will overcompensate with light. They'll be the first to say, "I'm fine." They'll oversmile. They'll play peacemaker. But inside, a storm is brewing. And if you're observant, you'll notice the tiny signs: a shaky breath after a joke, a fingers fidgeting under the table, and too fast I'm okay with no eye contact. Truth 2. Every strong reaction is rooted in a hidden wound. Someone who explodes over something small is not reacting to that moment. They're reacting to every time they've felt dismissed, disrespected, or powerless. Nietzsche wrote, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." When you see someone overreact, don't just judge them. Read them. They've tied something invisible to what just happened. And if you can spot that thread, you'll understand their entire psychology. Truth 3. Power makes people honest. Fear makes them polite. People are the most authentic when they feel in control, and they're the most fake when they feel they have something to lose. So if someone is overly agreeable, overly nice, overly polished, don't be fooled. They're not kind, they're calculating, because Nietzsche warned, "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises." In other words, even a self-loathing person wants control, and they'll use masks to get it. So next time you meet someone too perfect, too composed, too sweet, don't fall for the performance. Watch for the cracks in the act. The real truth is hidden in what they're trying not to show. And if this is already hitting deep, then take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started, and the next 15 minutes will reshape how you see human nature forever. Truth 4. Silence isn't emptiness. It's domination. Nietzsche believed that silence is a weapon. The one who can hold silence the longest usually holds the power. Think about this in any room. The one who talks nervously, who fills space with noise, is the one trying to earn presence. The one who sits still, unbothered, composed, is the one who commands it. This is true in negotiation, in dating, in confrontation, in leadership. So, if you want to read someone instantly, observe their relationship with silence. Can they sit in it, or do they squirm under its weight? Those who can't handle silence are often battling anxiety or insecurity. Those who can usually know something you don't. Truth 5. People show you how they want to be seen, not who they truly are. Most human behavior is performance. Social media made this worse, but Nietzsche saw it even in his own time. He believed the ego is a character in a play, and every person you meet is performing the version of themselves they think is most strategic. So, how do you read the truth? Look at their contradictions. Someone says, "I hate drama," yet always brings it. Someone says, "I'm humble," yet constantly seeks validation. Someone says, "I'm over my ex," but brings them up in every conversation. Don't believe what people tell you. Believe what they repeat when they don't realize they're doing it. Truth 6. Watch the feet. The truth escapes downward. You can train your face to lie. You can train your voice. But the body, especially the feet, still leak truth. If someone is talking to you but their feet point toward the door, they want to leave. If they lean back but their toes stay locked in your direction, they're still invested. Nietzsche might not have written directly about this, but his work was all about the split between surface and shadow, and the feet. They often belong to the shadow. Truth 7. People repeat what worked for them in childhood. If someone was praised for being the peacemaker, they'll avoid conflict even when it destroys them. If someone was loved for being the smart one, they'll panic if they don't have the answer. If someone was only noticed when they were sick, they'll subconsciously create chaos just to feel seen. Nietzsche saw this repetition as a kind of invisible prison. He wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." To read someone, observe the patterns they can't break, what they keep doing, even when it sabotages them. That's where their childhood conditioning lives. And when you can see someone's past written in their present, you don't just read them, you understand them. Ready for the next layer? Let's keep going. Truth 8. The loudest person is usually the weakest. Nietzsche wasn't impressed by those who shouted to be heard. He believed that true strength doesn't need an audience. It doesn't demand recognition. If someone is constantly bragging, if they need you to know how important they are, they're not speaking from power, they're speaking from lack. Real power is subtle, quiet. It's the man in the corner of the room who speaks once, and everyone listens. It's the woman whose presence shifts the entire mood without needing to announce it. Nietzsche would say, if someone needs to be seen, they haven't found themselves yet. Truth 9. People who talk about morality the most often hide the most. This one cuts deep. Nietzsche saw that those who obsess over rightness and wrongness often do so to compensate for internal guilt, shame, or hidden motives. He famously said, "Distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful." Translation: those who moralize the loudest often use virtue as camouflage. They aren't trying to save others. They're trying to save themselves from being seen. So if someone is always judging, always preaching, always obsessed with making others feel less than, look closer. They're projecting what they hate about themselves. Truth 10. The person who laughs the loudest isn't always the happiest. Nietzsche understood that joy isn't always what it seems. Sometimes people laugh to deflect, to disarm, to hide, especially those who make everything a joke. The ones who say, "I laugh so I don't cry," believe them. It's not weakness, but it is protection. So when reading someone, don't assume surface happiness equals peace. Often, the biggest smiles are just shields. Truth 11. How someone treats the powerless reveals their true self. Nietzsche believed power strips away illusion, and how someone acts when no one's watching, that's who they really are. If they're kind to you but rude to a waiter, if they flatter their boss but mock the janitor, if they perform empathy in public but are cruel in private, you're not looking at integrity, you're looking at manipulation. Real character isn't how you treat those above you, it's how you treat those you don't need. Truth 12. People don't want truth. They want reassurance. This one's brutal, but honest. Nietzsche said, "Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed." Most people don't want to grow. They want to feel safe. They want to be told they're right. So if you're someone who sees clearly, be careful. Truth tellers are rarely loved in real time. They're remembered later, often after the pain wears off. To read someone, notice how they react when you tell them something uncomfortable. Do they reflect or retaliate? That answer tells you everything. We're just halfway through. Nietzsche's wisdom only sharpens from here. Let's keep going. Truth 13. People are drawn to what they cannot control. Nietzsche believed that human beings are instinctively fascinated by mystery, and nothing is more magnetic than a person who cannot be predicted. If you always say yes, if you're always available, if you're always explaining, you become safe, but boring. But when you move in silence, when you don't reveal every emotion, when you can walk away at any moment, you create tension. Tension is energy, and energy is attraction. Nietzsche would say, to be truly desired, don't become a possession, become a puzzle. Truth 14. Everyone wears a mask, and most don't know it. He believed that the self we present to the world is often just a character we've rehearsed, the good, son, the cool guy, the spiritual seeker, the humble girl. We perform to be accepted and eventually forget who we really are. But Nietzsche warns, the longer you wear a mask, the more it fuses to your face. So when you're reading others, don't just look at what they show. Ask, what are they hiding by showing this? The truth is often behind the performance. Truth 15. Most people don't want relationships. They want mirrors. They want someone who confirms their beliefs, who tells them they're lovable, who makes them feel safe from their own darkness. That's not love. That's emotional outsourcing. Nietzsche would say, real intimacy begins where the ego ends. When someone can handle being seen without needing to be adored, that's rare. And when you meet someone like that, you'll feel it in your gut. Truth 16. The desire to fix others often hides the fear of fixing ourselves. Ever met someone obsessed with helping others, yet they can't sit with their own silence? Nietzsche believed that many saviors are simply escaping their own shadows. The need to rescue is often just a distraction from doing the inner work. He'd challenge us to ask, do I want to help them? Or do I just want to avoid myself? And when you notice this in someone else, don't be fooled by the nobility. Sometimes kindness is codependency in disguise. Truth 17. When someone shows you who they are in moments of pressure, believe them. Anyone can appear spiritual when life is easy. Anyone can be kind when everything's going well. But in moments of loss, rejection, stress, that's when the mask slips. Nietzsche said, necessity is not an established fact, but an interpretation, meaning how people respond to adversity reveals the narrative they truly live by. Watch carefully. Do they collapse? Do they lash out? Or do they find calm within chaos? You'll learn more in one moment of pressure than in 10 years of surface-level talk. Truth 18. The more someone needs to win, the more they fear losing themselves. Nietzsche's final psychological insight cuts to the core. A person obsessed with winning, with conquering, outperforming, or proving, is often at war with their own self-worth. They don't need victory, they need proof. Proof that they're not broken, not invisible, not meaningless. And that need makes them vulnerable, because as soon as their power depends on the outcome, they're no longer in control. Nietzsche's final warning is this: to read someone instantly, don't just watch what they chase, watch what they can't walk away from. That's their weakness, and sometimes it's yours too. Stay for the final segment, because now that you've read the world, it's time to read yourself. Let's finish strong. How to read yourself, the final and most dangerous truth. Nietzsche didn't just teach us how to read others. He taught us how to confront the most elusive, most deceptive person in our lives, ourselves. Because let's be honest, it's easy to spot someone else's ego, to decode their insecurities, to point out their masks. But the hardest mask to remove is the one you didn't even know you were wearing. So here's Nietzsche's final truth. The deeper you go into yourself, the more uncomfortable it gets. But that's where the real power lives. You want to read others instantly. You must first learn to read the hidden scripts running your own life. Ask yourself, why do I crave validation from certain people? Why do I react so strongly to rejection? Why do I chase what doesn't even nourish me? You'll notice something. You weren't acting from free will. You were acting from old wounds, from unconscious stories, from survival habits you never questioned. Nietzsche called this becoming who you are. And to become who you are, you must first unbecome who you were told to be. That means letting go of beliefs that don't belong to you, and dropping the roles you've outgrown, and questioning the lies you tell yourself just to feel safe. It's terrifying, but it's freedom, because once you can read yourself without flinching, you stop fearing how others see you. You stop needing to perform, to prove, to please. And that's when true power begins. Here's the final paradox Nietzsche leaves us with. The man who can read everyone else, but can't read himself, will always be a slave to illusions. But the one who dares to read himself first, to face his shame, to own his rage, to reclaim his inner world, he becomes untouchable because he no longer reacts to others. He sees through them. He no longer chases connection. He radiates presence. He no longer needs to win because he already knows who he is. So if you take away anything from this video, let it be this. Learn to read people, but start by reading the one person. You'll never escape yourself. If this resonated, take a moment to subscribe. Drop a comment below, not for the algorithm, but to mark this chapter in your journey. If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're remembering, returning, reclaiming your inner ground. So trust that the video YouTube shows you next, the one appearing now, is not random. It's the next doorway, the next layer, and it will meet you exactly where you are. We'll see you in the next depth. Depthoria continues.